Good morning. My name is Rick Drogo, and this is my very first show ever. Welcome. This is my first time doing anything like this, and what I'm doing is something I'm doing in private, anyways, which is learning about politics. So I decided to go ahead and add the camera and the internet and see if we can't create some more discussion around, some more dialogue around what I'm going through personally. And I'll be looking for help because I'm very ignorant when it comes to this topic, but I'm very interested, and it's very important. But I also want to hopefully spread more positivity when it comes to this, because politics is something people are very passionate about, and I feel like it's hard for them to think straight sometimes, or to put themselves in the other person's shoe. At least in my experience, as I'm trying to figure out about politics, people are very biased a lot of the times, and it's hard for me to decipher which direction to go to and what to believe. They say, a man once told me, if you don't watch the news, you're uninformed. And if you watch the news, you're misinformed. So you got to figure it out. And so that's very true. So here's a little intro into myself. I'm 42 years old, and I'm just now really getting into politics, and I'm realizing I'm very ignorant. I don't know a lot about what I'm watching here when I'm watching the news. So I am in recovery. I've been sober for over a year now of drugs and alcohol, and they say that your brain stops working when you do drugs, or I'm sorry, it doesn't stop. Yeah, it stops working, but it's you stop developing when you start doing drugs. And I've been pretty hardcore since I was 15. And so now here I am. I'm 42 years old. I have a family. I have a wife and 4 kids. And I'm watching politics a lot more now. I'm paying attention more because of this war in Iran and everything that with Trump and all this stuff. And so I grew up in a Republican house, but a lot of what I'm seeing is a little bit more Democratic, maybe. That's what I'm here to figure out today. And I'm just watching the news, and I'm seeing 2 totally different stories. And that's not cool. It's not, this is where we're supposed to get our news from. I'm seeking, whether it's on TV or the internet, and these 2 different parties, I'm getting different stories. And so what I want to do is, what I've been doing is, I said, okay, I need to figure out more about politics. They're using terms, they're using words that I don't understand. And so how can I decide which side I'm on if I don't even understand, the basics? So that's what we're going to do today. I'm going to watch a video that was recommended to me on YouTube, and I'm going to watch it with you guys, and that's what the show is going to be about. The show is called Crash the Party, Republican or Democrat, and it's going to be all about watching, surfing the web, watching videos, whether it's a podcast or something like we're about to watch now, or talking with people, just to be informed, and like I said, to share opinions and hopefully love. And that may sound corny, but it's the most important thing, is this communication that we have to have around topics like this needs to be shared with love, and you need to receive it the same way. Otherwise, it just turns into so much hate. So anyways, with that being said, I could go on for a long time, and I've already done this intro 4 times. So, let's see here. All right, I'm going to say a little prayer here. God, I just thank you so much for this day, and I thank you for this opportunity to learn and to grow. And I just pray, God, that you would have your hand on our hearts today, that we could receive this information with love and hopefully spread this information with love. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. All right. All right. Let's go.
All right, let's have a little chat. How did you manage to get a driver's license, operate heavy machinery like a coffee maker, and maybe even keep a plant alive without understanding the 2 political teams that are constantly yelling at each other on your television? Today, I'll explain the difference between Democrats and Republicans to you like you're 5 years old. And by the end of this, you'll finally be able to follow along at family gatherings without just nodding and hoping nobody asks your opinion on fiscal policy. Let's start with the absolute basics. Imagine your country is a giant playground. Everyone wants the playground to be fun, safe, and awesome. But the problem is, people have very different ideas about the best way to.
All right, noted. Now, this may seem silly to you, but this is what I've been trying to remember and without looking up. Blue team, I guess, is Democrats, and red team is Republicans. Red, Republican. All right, red, Republican, blue, Democrat.
Make that happen. I mean, Democrats and Republicans are like the two main teams in a never-ending game of kickball on the playground. They both want to win, which in this case means running the playground according to their own rulebook, because they genuinely believe that their rules will make the best playground ever. They just have completely opposite instruction manuals. Let's call the Democrats Team We're All In This Together. Their core belief is that the playground is best when everyone helps each other out, and a grown-up, let's call them the government, steps in to make sure things are fair. If one kid shows up to the playground without a juice box, Team We're All In This Together thinks that the grown-up should make sure that the kid gets a juice box. Maybe by collecting one extra juice box from the kids who brought a whole six-pack. They believe that a strong community where people look out for one another makes the whole playground better for everyone. A rising tide, after all, does lift all boats. Or in our case, a shared snack basket prevents playground meltdowns. Their main idea is that society.
Okay, so this video is already helping me so much. Because I'm not a complete idiot. I'm 42 years old. I've been living life. I've been doing lots. Obviously, I paid attention to the certain things. My dad was a hardcore Republican, and so listening to them describe the blue team, the Democrats, like this is very much already. It may seem silly to some people, but man, this is good.
Or in our case, a shared snack basket prevents playground meltdowns. Their main idea is that society has a responsibility to care for its members, and the government is the tool that we use to do that. Now, let's look at the other team. We'll call the Republicans Team Pull Yourself Up. Their core belief is that the playground is best when.
Okay, so the Democrats are Team Let's Do It Together, and then the Republicans are Team Pull Yourself Up. All right, sounds about right. That's my dad. That was.
We'll call the Republicans Team Pull Yourself Up. Their core belief is that the playground is best when every kid is responsible for themselves. You bring your own juice box, you climb the monkey bars on your own, and if you fall and scrape your knee, you simply dust yourself off and get back up. The grown-up, the government, should mostly stay out of it, and their job is to just be a playground monitor, making sure that no one's actively lighting the slide on fire or stealing other kids' lunch money. Team Pull Yourself Up believes that individual freedom and personal responsibilities are the most important things. They think that when people are free to succeed or fail on their own, they'll work harder, come up with cooler games, and make the whole playground more exciting and innovative. Too many rules from the grown-ups just slow everyone down. Are you seeing the fundamental difference? One team wants a hands-on grown-up ensuring fairness for the group, and the other team wants a hands-off grown-up letting individuals handle their own business. This one simple difference in philosophy explains almost everything about their disagreements. And let's break it down with some of the big topics they're always arguing about. First up, the big one.
So right here, I think my initial thoughts about this, about the Democrats and Republicans, makes me I feel a certain way already about where I lean here. At least what we've gone over so far. And I can imagine that how you feel about this probably has a lot to do with how you were raised. Now, not just, like the political view of your parents, but how they raised you and how they treated you and other kids and stuff like that. Very interesting.
Some of the big topics they're always arguing about. First up, the big one. Money. More specifically, taxes. And what are taxes exactly? Well, taxes are like an allowance that you have to give to the grown-up in charge of the playground. The grown-up uses that allowance money to pay for things that the whole playground needs, like fixing the squeaky swing, buying new kickballs, and paying the playground monitor's salary. Team We're All In This Together, the Democrats, generally believe that the kids with the most allowance money should contribute a bigger piece of their allowance to the playground fund. So if you have $100, maybe you put in $20. But if another kid only has $10, maybe they'll only have to put in $1. Does that seem fair? Well, to Democrats, it does. The kid with $100 can easily give up 20 and still have enough left to buy the ice cream that they want. Meanwhile, the kid with $10 really needs their $9 just to get by. So Democrats think that this system allows the grown-up to collect enough money to pay for really nice things for everyone, like a brand new water fountain or even a nurse to hand out bandages. Meanwhile, Team Pull Yourself Up, the Republicans, see it a bit differently. They generally think that everyone should pay a smaller piece of their own allowance to the playground fund, or at least a similar percentage. They argue that taking a big chunk of allowance from the kid with $100 punishes them for being good at, say, selling lemonade. If that kid gets to keep more of their money, what will they do with it? Well, they'll probably build a bigger, better lemonade stand. And to do that, they'll need to hire other kids to help them. And suddenly, more kids have jobs and can buy their own allowance. Republicans believe that lower taxes for everyone, especially for the people who create businesses, is like fuel for a rocket. It encourages people to build things and create wealth, which eventually helps everybody on the playground. It's like buying someone else a helmet in case that you crash the bike. You want them to be safe, but you'd rather they just learn to ride the bike better on their own. Next, let's talk about healthcare. Now, this is the really big argument. What happens when a kid gets sick or hurt? Well, Team We're All in This Together believes that getting help when you're sick shouldn't depend on how much allowance you have. They think healthcare is a basic right, like being allowed to play on the swings. So they support the grown-up, the government, creating big programs to make sure every single kid can see a doctor. They believe that the government should run a giant health plan or at least help people pay for their own plans. It's like having a playground nurse who's there to patch up every single kid, no matter what. The money for the nurse and the bandages comes from that playground fund we talked about, the taxes, and the main goal is making sure no one suffers just because they can't afford a doctor. Team Pull Yourself Up, though, has another idea. They tend to see healthcare as a service, something that you buy like a toy from the toy store. They believe the best way to get good, affordable healthcare is to have lots and lots of different private companies, like different toy stores, all competing against each other. If there are 100 different doctors and hospitals all trying to get you to be their patient, they'll have to offer better service at lower prices. They think that a big government program would be clunky, inefficient, and would take away your choice. You should be free to pick your own doctor and your own healthcare plan, just like you're free to pick which brand of sneakers you want to wear. They worry that a government-run system would be like having only one toy store on the whole playground. And if that toy store has bad toys or long lines, you're stuck. Now, let's move on to the economy, which is just a fancy word for how all the buying, selling, and job having on the playground works. Democrats, Team We're All in This Together, want the grown-ups to be a referee. They want lots of rules to make sure that the game is played fairly. They want to make sure that the big, strong 8th graders aren't taking advantage of the little 1st graders. This means rules that protect workers, rules that protect the environment from messy factories, and rules that make sure the food in the cafeteria is safe to eat. They support things like minimum wage, which is like...
Now, I knew that Republican and Democrat were very much separate on taxes, not so much about health care. So this is very informative to me. And then now what we're talking about here. So I'm very interested to see what the two takes are for economy as far as, safe safety for workers and pay and stuff like that.
Make sure the food in the cafeteria is safe to eat. They support things like minimum wage, which is like saying, no matter what job you do on this playground, you have to be paid at least 2 cookies an hour. They believe these regulations protect the little guy and keep the whole system stable and fair for everyone. Republicans, Team Pull Yourself Up, think that all those rules are a pain. They think the grown-up referee is blowing the whistle every 5 seconds and slowing down the game. They believe that if you just let people and business do their thing with fewer rules, they'll flourish. They argue that regulations make it expensive and difficult to start a new business, like the lemonade stand that we talked about. If you get rid of the complicated rules, more people will start businesses. They'll compete with each other, and they'll invent new things, and the whole playground economy will bloom. They believe that freedom from government interference is the fastest way to create prosperity for all. It's basically financial independence, and they believe it motivates people more than a safety net ever could. Now for a tricky one. The environment. The playground is our world. Is it getting dirty? Is the weather getting weird? Well, Team We're All in This Together is very worried. They look at the melting popsicles in the sun.
Is the weather getting weird? Yeah, it is.
Well, Team We're All in This Together is very worried. They look at the melting popsicles in the summer sun and see a huge problem. They believe that climate change is a serious threat caused by human activity, and they think that the government, needs to take a big, bold action right now. This means passing laws that limit pollution, investing a lot of the playground allowance to clean energy like solar-powered toys, and working with other playgrounds around the world to solve the problem together. To them, protecting the environment is a top priority, even if it means some businesses have to change how they operate. The future of the playground is at stake. Team Pull Yourself Up, though, is more cautious. While many agree that the environment is important, they're often more concerned about how environmental rules will affect the economy. They might argue that every strict regulation could shut down factories and cause kids to lose their jobs. Instead of sweeping government mandates, they tend to favor a different approach. They believe in human innovation. Let's trust the smart kids on the playground to invent a new kind of factory that doesn't make any pollution. They prefer market-based solutions and technological advancements over what they see as job-killing government rules. They prioritize economic strength, believing a rich playground will have the resources to develop and afford cleaner technologies down the road. And finally, there are social issues. This is about the playground's culture. What are the official rules for how kids should treat each other and what kind of lifestyles are acceptable? This is where the teams often have very different ideas about right and wrong. Based on different core values, Democrats, team We're All in This Together, generally believe that the society's rules should evolve and change over time to be more inclusive. They champion the rights of minority groups and support new definitions of family and identity. They're more likely to believe that the grown-ups should make rules to protect LGBTQ+ kids and to ensure girls have the same opportunities as boys in every single game. They see a diverse playground with lots of different kinds of people as a strong playground. Republicans, meanwhile, team Pull Yourself Up, tend to value tradition. They often believe that the rules that have worked for the playground for a very long time are there for a reason. They draw strength from established institutions like family and religion. They believe these traditions provide a stable and moral foundation for society. So they're more likely to support policies that reflect these long-standing values. They believe that rapid social change can weaken the fabric of the community and that it's important to stick to the tried and true principles that have guided generations of kids on the playground. And so, there you have it. It almost always comes back to that one core idea. Team Democrat says, let's use the government as a tool to work together and solve our problems as a group. Meanwhile, Team Republican says, let's limit the government's power so that individuals have the freedom to solve their own problems. One side emphasizes community and fairness. The other emphasizes liberty and personal responsibility. Neither side is full of evil villains who wake up wanting to ruin the playground. They're full of people who have a fundamentally different vision for what a perfect playground looks like. They simply disagree, very loudly, on which rulebook will get us there. So, to recap for the 5-year-old in you, the blue team wants the teacher to make sure everyone shares their snack so that no one is left out, and the red team wants the teacher to stay in the corner and let every kid be in charge of their own snack situation because that'll teach them to be responsible snack getters. And now you get it. You might not be ready to run for office, but you're officially equipped to understand the shouting matches on the news. So go forth, and pretend that you've known this all along.
Interesting. All right. Whoa. All right. Well, I know I didn't say much there because I'm really trying to learn here, and I mean, honestly, I might have to go back and watch it again. What's going on here? Okay. So the biggest takeaway for sure right now, I know, is that the blue team, the Democrats, generally support more government involvement. All right, so the Democrats for sure want the government involved in more of the decision making. Okay, and then the Republicans, the red team, team Pull Yourself Up, generally supports less government support. And so for me personally, I mean, like I said, if you would have asked me, I would have told you I was Republican years ago. In the past few years, I've realized I'm not either. Just from what I would hear, I'd be like, I'm not really either, And watching that video, I see that I'm definitely neither right now. I want to figure out where I stand on a lot of those issues because I mean we just talked about five big topics that have lots to talk about. That I have a lot of questions, and I kind of want to be like, why can't we agree on some of this stuff? Um, so the other thing that they talked about was taxes, where you stand on taxes, and I'm very mixed there because I can see what they're talking about as far as somebody who has lots of money, like let's say the richest man in the world with billions of dollars, for him to have to pay millions of dollars in taxes is, I guess, nothing. And then you take somebody like me and you want to take a big chunk of my money every year, that could really change the trajectory of my life if I was able to keep that chunk, or at least one not as big. Um, but at the same time, I understand the other view. So then we got healthcare. Healthcare, I for sure feel a certain type of way on it, but I also understand the other one. Economy, um, still a little unclear on economy and environment, as in, I got to go back and watch those again so that I can really comment on them. And as far as, the difference between them and where I stand or how I feel, because like I said, I mean, I get a lot of mixed emotions, learning this stuff and the social part as well, which, and that's why I wanted to do this. That's why I want to do this show, is to learn, and to, as I learn, I get to be ignorant in front of however many people would watch this and show that it's okay to not know. And hey, let's learn. Let's learn together and share our opinions with love so that, there doesn't have to be so much hate. People, my dad, well, I don't know if I'm going to share that story yet. People just are very passionate about politics, and I see it all the time. I see it on my social media. I see it on people's cars and their shirts. Um, and it can really, to me, it's not a good thing when you want to tear people down for what they think or believe. So it's all about spreading love. That's what this is all about. It's about crashing the party, both of them, the whole party, everything. Like, look, let's show up and let's spread love. Let's talk about it, and see if we can't make the world a better place, and hopefully be entertaining while we do it. Not just that, but educational. So that's what I'm doing. I'm here for my education, and also it's like a service for me to do service, and I hope that I can help someone. Um, for me personally, over the last year that I've been sober, my life has changed dramatically. But even before that, I started to acknowledge God with my family right before we did everything mostly. But we started with just our meals. We would pray before our meals, and God really took over my life at that point. That's when things really started to change for me, and I want to share that message with people too, and I'm going to continue to do that. So anyways, I was thinking when I first had this idea, each show would be an hour long, and then as I was prepping for this and getting ready, I was coming up with so many excuses to not do it, and I just thought, you know what, it doesn't have to be an hour. I'm gonna watch this one video. It's so much information to take in all at once. I'm not even gonna be able to retain it all. So I might as well not try to stretch something. And anyways, I think that's a great place to stop for today. And one moment, baby. Okay. And yeah, I've got company. So thank you so much for spending this time with me.